Join us for the all-new generation of the BMW 3 Series Touring. Let's go. In the front, we can see that if you compare it to the predecessor, the BMW double kidney is now wider and bigger overall. It has those adaptive air intakes, they only open on demand. Headlamps, they are more horizontally drawn and have this kink right there. They start from LED, standard equipment, then optional adaptive LED, and the top one, the one you see here, the laser light for the high beam range of 600 meters. The length is at 4.70 meters, 15 foot 4 or 185 inches. If you compare it to the predecessor, that's about 8.5 centimeters longer. The internal code, by the way, for the sedan G20 and here for the touring G21. Well, and then we can see here, this is the M Sport model, so a sporty design package here also with 19-inch wheels. Very large, but looks of course pretty cool. The color here is Dravid Grey. And of course the touring, that's a big difference to the sedan as we know it. The roof just continues right there to give you more flexibility with the luggage compartment. The touring here for the 3 Series also carries over those new tail lamps. We've seen them quite equally with the sedan in a more sculptural 3-dimensional style. The whole car is 5 centimeters wider in the front, so the track is 5 centimeters wider, in the rear 2 centimeters wider, and also the rear window here with the touring is 2 centimeters wider. Overall, a more horizontal stance on the road, and you can still have this split opening here with the rear hatch. We will soon take a detailed look at both of the hatches and of course on the trunk on the inside in the interior part, which will play a major role in this review. Gone are the days where a 330i was a 6-cylinder. Now, today it's a 2-liter 4-cylinder, but it still has some decent performance. And also a nice engine cover right there. The red and the blue cable, by the way, to charge the battery here in the studio. So this one here was 258 horsepower and 5.8 seconds acceleration figure. And there's also the 320i with 184 horsepower. And of course the one we've already tested in the racetrack with the sedan, the M340i. This one then is then the 3-liter 6-cylinder with 374 horsepower and 4.4 seconds acceleration figure. There will later on also be a 330e, a plug-in hybrid version, also for the touring. Then diesel side, 2-liter 4-cylinder, 150 or 190 horsepower. And a 3-liter 6-cylinder diesel with 265 horsepower. And only the base entry-level engines, so predominantly the diesels, will get a manual gearbox. Most of the other 3 series will be 8-speed automatic gearbox. Let's check out the interior together. First of all, door closing sound. That's quite solid. Nice. So, and then inside of the doors, the top part here is soft touch already. This one anyway. Then Hofmeister kink design element also at the door handles. Galvanized buttons at the inside of the door. And then the beautiful LED ambient light right there. And also leaves some spot there for bigger bottles at the inside of the doors. Now let's get inside. In the front, sedan and touring are not really that different. This one here is also equipped with a panoramic roof, which is now also a little bit wider. And I'm 1.86 or 6'1". Yes, a frequent subscriber, you already know that, but we always have a lot of people also tuning in maybe just for this video. Then it still leaves some headroom right there. If you want more headroom, you would go without the panoramic roof. You can choose. Steering wheel can be adjusted like this, manual up and down, pretty easy process too. Seat would start manual, but is electric right here, also with electric lumbar support, and manual lengthen the lower seating area. And it's actually a quite nice seating position. It's really standard mid-size sedan or estate, so you can compare it also to the other competitors. Now the interior overview, I think very well integrated here with the screen also, and it is mirrored in a symmetrical form in the lower end. Nice matte wood is being used here as surfaces, so it doesn't leave fingerprints, feels natural, looks natural. I would go for that in this case, really cool. Also nice, resonates with the beige interior here. And it's important that it's black on the top part, because that one then doesn't give you those reflections. Soft touch here again. The climate unit is still separated, like that. It's easier to control while driving, but when the engine is running, you can also, for example, use the voice control to set the temperature. That's also possible. The base setup would be 8.8 inch here on the right, smaller screen. This one, the optional 10.25 inch. And on the left side, you start with a smaller 5.7 inch screen with analog instruments. And this one then is the optional 12.5 inch digital instrument. Soon also more details to that. Hey BMW, find me a hotel in Frankfurt. Let's see how that reacts.
Which one of the destinations shall I select?
So that worked. So this is, one example. It's pretty helpful. And you don't have to wait for this, how can I help you? You can directly speak what you want after you've done like this, hey BMW, or you can select a separate name for that, how you want to call your car, or maybe the name of your wife or something. You can also set that. So we started the engine for you, that you can see more of the digital instruments. Those ones again optional. You can still go for those rather analog ones. Left side speed, right side RPM, going counterclockwise, and that leaves some space on the inside, for example here, for GPS view right there in the middle part of the screen. Now the rear compartment. First take a look. And this beige style is really cool, brings so much light in the interior. I wish that would also be available in SensorTech. So, but you already see there's not too much room in the leg compartment. But here, soft touch also at the back part of the doors, by the way. And also this ambient lighting strip is right here in the rear. There we go. So, the 3 Series does not have the best package. You can see it does fit with 4 adults right there, knee room wise, but there are definitely also smaller cars which have the same amount of legroom or even more. Then again, this one here, the Touring, had the panoramic roof. So on the one hand, because it's Touring, you have more headroom than in the sedan, with one with 86 or 6 with 1. That's totally okay. However, that was also somewhat okay in the sedan, because they built also the rear part in a very clever way. You would have more headroom here if you would leave out the panoramic roof. So let's say you're going on holiday and you put all the clutter in the trunk and you build it from low to high, and then maybe you want to put something on top. Then you can open this separate one here, the separate glass on top. That's somewhat special to the 3 Series Touring, has been also over the last generations. Then you can, again, access it right here. Of course, there's a high sill then, yes. And then you can already see one interesting feature right there, those rubber pads. It's just an option that's about 350 euros with the, together with some other equipment to sort the trunk a little bit better. And it stays like this at first, and you can slide things over it. I mean, it's already somewhat sticky with the rubber pads. But then, when you actually start the engine or just close the trunk, that's already happening right there. So when you're driving, then it goes up. And we have an image there with a glass of water where you can see it a little bit better, because it's hard to see. You rather feel then how this stuff gets a little bit stiffer. You could see the glass moving just a little bit, but very interesting. So it shall prevent the luggage from sliding all over the place. And we always have that problem indeed when we have some camera equipment or cabin trolleys inside there. So really looking forward how that one plays out. It's also a feature that was introduced with the all-new BMW X5. So let's close this glass again. And the electric tailgate is standard equipment. Good to have that one. Here we go. And by the way, some of the parts here are still pre-production, so the surfaces here will be a little bit different in the final model. Then, for storage, For example, for an additional net, if you want to, go with dog or so, or the cover of the trunk, we have removed it at the moment, that you can see the full capacity. It's 500 to the maximum of 1,500 liters if we soon flip the seats. You can either just have a function that you can release them, or there's also a function with an electric function, and in this case then they would be just sliding on their own. But you can also just do it here like this. The liter figure is just a little bit higher than in a sedan, but of course the practical stuff, from everyday driving life, that's also one of the reasons why in Europe in general most people go for the touring. If they just prefer it over the sedan. And if you think about markets like Germany or UK, 2/3 of all 3 Series sales, they are actually here with the touring. In Italy, even more. So far, there were 3/4 of 3 Series were touring and not a sedan. Well, but sadly, they do not sell it anymore in the US now. In the new generation, they didn't sell it too much. A couple of guys also in the US went for it, but actually not as much as in Europe. Sedan definitely more in the favorite of the US customers. However, do you agree with that, or would you like to see the touring again in the US? And also tell us in the comments. And now our conclusion for today with the BMW 3 Series Touring. Well, it has a wider stance on the road just from the visual aspect, but it's not too different from the outgoing model. More definitely has happened in the interior, both for the sedan and for the touring, especially with this infotainment system upgrade. And the voice input is one of the most important things, especially, it's way easier to put in the destinations, for example. Then again, only if you go for the high spec of this infotainment system. The build quality has been upgraded. That's also one of the most significant changes. The touring here still has the advantage that you're just more flexible with the trunk. So, even if you would prefer the sedan just visual-wise, the touring makes more sense in any case. And that's also where it's available, especially in Europe. Most people also then decide in favor of the touring. You can see here, it works pretty well with the space you have available. Just the legroom here in the rear, it's quite normal for the premium mid-size segment that it's not that ample, so it's not especially bad if you compare it to the competitors. But it's just not so much if you compare it to the length of the overall vehicle. It should maybe be a little bit more on the inside. But I think the interior quality upgrades they have done, this is also what you really feel as a change when being with this car. In driving, we've already driven the sedan, and it was pretty agile drive and still a lot of fun to drive this vehicle, no matter if you just have rear drive or then the optional all-wheel drive, depending on the engine. Really looking forward also to drive the new plug-in hybrid. This one will be very exciting. Steering feel, I wonder if they also upgrade a little bit now with maybe the next model generation, because I think it lacked a little bit of steering feel in the very low angle areas. We experienced that with the sedan driving review. Other than that, it was already quite cool, and we can expect from the touring that it drives just the very same way, same wheelbase, almost same weight, same length, and so on. Of course, we want to know what you think of the all-new BMW 3 Series Touring. Are you maybe already an existing customer of this one, maybe have a predecessor? Then please share your experience with this vehicle with our community here. Thanks so much for tuning in, and I really hope to see you at the driving review of the 3 Series Touring, or the BMW Dreier, as we say in Germany. Thanks so much. Tune in again.